Moving on to the Sunday now, and bet number 3 has to be the biggest game of the weekend. 10th place Spurs play 4th place Arsenal in the North London derby. And Spurs, despite having most of the ball and a lot of the play in the final third in their last game, they really struggled to add to their equalising goal against the Magpies in their last match. And in what is becoming a little bit of a theme of the Postecoglou era, Spurs' high defensive line caused further trouble for them as Newcastle broke with Isaac scoring to give the Geordies the 2-1 win. Form-wise, this means that Spurs have a 1-1-1 record from their first 3 games. Their general play has been very nice to watch, but the end product has been lacking, and they'll be hoping that Dominic Solanke can provide the answers that they need when he returns from injury. The away side Arsenal, they were frustrated at the Emirates in their last game, held to a 1-1 draw against Brighton. It appeared that Arsenal had the game in hand in the first half. They were 1-0 up at home, having 6 shots to Brighton's 3, and 3 big chances created. If that wasn't enough, their XG was also 12 times greater than their visitors, 0.98 to Brighton's 0.08. The whole game changed 4 minutes into the second half, however, with Declan Rice being sent off for his second yellow card. Despite protestations being made, the PGMOL, which is the professional body for all Premier League referees, have pointed out that they're going to be clamping down on unsportsmanlike conduct, such as kicking the ball away from play. So it shouldn't have been much news for Declan Rice, as he was blatantly guilty of kicking the ball away. This left Chris Kavanagh with no other choice than to award a second yellow and consequently change the course of the game. After the sending off, Brighton generated 19 shots with 3 big chances of their own and created an XG of 1.74. João Pedro managed to equalise for the Seagulls, but there was no second goal to be found in this game, with the match finishing 1-1. Form-wise, Arsenal are unbeaten in their first 3 games of the season. Back-to-back 2-0 wins against Wolves and Villa, capped off by the 1-1 draw against Brighton, puts them 4th place in the table early on. You can't win a title after 3 games, but you can certainly lose it, and Arsenal have made an admirable start to the campaign. When we look at the head-to-head records, last time out, Arsenal won by 3-2, but the score only tells half the story. Arsenal were handed an opening goal thanks to Højbjerg's own goal, with Saka and then Havertz adding a second and third by the interval, and the Gunners led at half-time by 3-0. Romero managed to score, and Son scored a penalty, which added a little bit of gloss to an otherwise embarrassing scoreline. And to Spurs' credit, they did control the game in the second half, but handing a 3-0 lead to your rivals ensures that the match is never going to go your way. This result meant that it was 4 unbeaten in the derby for Arsenal, with Spurs winning just 1 in the last 7 encounters. My prediction for this game is that both sides have the capacity to rack up a lot of goals. They create a high volume of goal-scoring opportunities, and once they sort their finishing out, this will pay dividends. This game is often unpredictable, as is the nature of derby games, but I really like goals here, and here's why. Spurs have seen over 2.5 goals in 2 of their 3 games to start the season, and this could have easily been 3 out of 3 based on the amount of chances created in the Leicester match. Last year, Spurs led the league in the over 2.5 goal market, with 79% of their games seeing at least 3 goals scored, with an average of 3.55 goals scored per game. Additionally, at home, Spurs topped the league with 84% of their games seeing over 2.5 goals, with an average of 3.42 goals per game. When we look at Arsenal's stats, they've not got off to the best start this year. 0 of their 3 games have seen over 2.5 goals. But we have to take into account Arsenal's opponents had not really created too much early on this season, so that could be a bit of a red herring. Last season, Arsenal saw over 2.5 goals in 63% of their games for an average of 3.16 goals per game. On the road, these numbers did fall off a little bit, 53% of games and 2.95 goals scored per game. When we look at the head-to-head record, 6 of the last 7 North London derbies have seen over 2.5 goals scored, 3.57 goals per game in this period. With this in mind, I would struggle to take anything other than an over 2.5 goals bet. Over 2.5 goals for a full stake in bet number 3 for me.